let's start with that Boston Pittsburgh game.
Please.
Because, there are reports that comes out of Fluto Shinzawa, my old colleague at The Athletic, writing that Tuukka Rask's comeback may, in fact, be over, that he's got hip discomfort, and it just may not be happening for him. And Fluto's, he's as good as they come. So if he says it, I believe there's a high probability of truth to it, which is, it's very sad. And then you have a game where the Bruins get up, Patrice Bergeron gets hit, a little knock to the head. And I don't know that we've had any kind of update, but I saw certainly, fears that it could be a concussion. And certainly he's back in the early days of his career, his Hall of Fame career, did suffer through serious concussions. And then the cherry on top of the cake, Brad Marchand, never failing to deliver. For some reason, he's all over Tristan Jarry last night. Stops him from flipping a puck to a Pittsburgh fan in Boston, and then sucker punches him while he's on his knees in his crease, and then tries to stick him in the face with his stick. So I don't know. You take your pick, Mike. There's any one of those topics is worthy of a long discussion, but all three, it was a tumultuous evening for a Bruins team that ends up losing a game. Yeah. And you know what? This is an interesting part. We keep talking about it. Top 8 in the East. They're still locked in. I don't see how it happens, but listen, this Bruin team may be in a position where it's going to be difficult for them to get points moving forward, given some of the things we just talked about.
What an absolute circus yesterday, from top to bottom. And I was so here for it. I watched the highlights of that game like 4 times just for the fun of it. And it starts off like, I'll talk Rask first real quick. Yeah. If he's not feeling comfortable, which he really didn't look the last 3 or 4 starts that he had, he doesn't want to play and put that team in jeopardy. And that's what he said as much as like, I have to be good. I don't have time to figure this out. And that's kind of what I thought. I thought he had probably 10 or 12 games to do so. And it looks like he might be making that decision even earlier, because at his age, it's not advanced, but you get into your 30s. And if you're starting to have hip discomfort after a major surgery like that, and you're already thinking, how many years do I have left? It doesn't feel like it's worth it, especially for somebody he's a Bruin through and through, man. Like, he doesn't want to make that team worse. And I think that's the only fair and right thing to do in that instance, is to step aside if you're not feeling that, because, hey, Ullmark, man, I think Ullmark has done a really nice job. Really the second quarter of the season, since we're halfway there, let's say that, once he kind of got acclimated. And, Swayman has been up and down and hasn't won as many games, but I think the Bruins are pretty stout in goal. I thought Rask would give them a bump, though, if he could go up to the top level. I really believe that. And it still may not be there, but an injured Rask or an uncomfortable Rask isn't up to what Ullmark and Swayman have done this year. So, simple as that. And if he chooses to retire, what a career. I mean, I remember when he came into Providence to begin his professional career, at 20 years old. And I thought, boy, this guy's pretty good, but he doesn't have a pulse. And then by the second year, he's fighting guys and throwing sticks and shootouts and had all this fire, and he never looked back. So really, to me, would be I think he's one of the best goalies, arguably for sure the last decade, maybe the last 2 decades in the NHL. And was a whipping boy at times in Boston for not being named Tim Thomas, basically, which was tough on him. But, the rest of that circus last night, I mean, I don't know what Jarry said, or if it just purely started from Marchand going behind the net and slashing the puck off of his stick. And he's going to give it to a fan, throw it over the glass, Jarry is. And Marchand goes behind the net, slashes his stick. Well, the puck pops up and Marchand just casually catches the thing. Like, it was the smoothest move, like slash catch combo. Nice. And then Jarry's chasing him down, and Marchand throws it at the ice guy, the puck. I'm like, okay, he's upset. And then, 30 seconds left. Obviously, Jarry covers the puck and says something to Marchand that he didn't appreciate. I don't know if Marchand was simply defending the dignity of Boston or what he was doing, but he does. He suckers Jarry with a right, slashes him going off the ice. I loved it. It was great. And I bet you anything, Tristan Jarry said basically afterwards, things get heated, but we did everything we could to win. He knew he was under his skin, and he didn't play into it all afterwards. He just let it slide, and that's going to eat at Marchand even more. I wonder what you think comes of this, Scott. I think Marchand gets a fine for his actions. I don't think he gets suspended.
Yeah.
The sucker punch and the slash at the end weren't great, but I don't see those really being suspendable offenses. Do you?
Yeah, maybe the history that will factor into this. And I believe there was a match penalty called on the ice. And so it will be reviewed. And I'm with you. I mean, yes, he did sucker punch him, but it's not the kind of play that it was, if people, I'm sure that there are Penguins fans who are like intent to injure, give them 6, in-person hearing,
Trying to kill
all
him.
those kinds of things.
It was a short jab, but
I would say just for being a dick, you should get 2 or 3 games, but I don't know. That's just me. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. To me, the bigger issue is what happens to Patrice Bergeron, who left the game and
got kind of clipped by Crosby of all people. Just Crosby was skating his normal route and they mixed up skates.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I mean, I remember talking to Sidney Crosby, and it's a long time ago, but he during his issues, because they've known each other. I mean, the ties between Bergeron and Crosby are long. I covered that the World Juniors during the 04-05 lockout, and Bergeron, who'd already played in the NHL but was still of age, came back, and Crosby was on that team. It was Bergeron who took Crosby under his wing. I know Crosby relied on him heavily during the concussion issues, just talking. What this is happening to me. Did it happen to you? What did you do about this? Who did you see? So their connection is long and strong. And I know in talking to Bergeron over the years, huge respect for Sidney Crosby, of course. So that it happens that way it's not irony, but it's curious. And that Bruins team, it's still, man, he's the engine. I mean, Marchand is he's the skill, and he's the stir that drives everything around. But Bergeron is so important to that team. So hopefully it's not a long-term thing. Again, we talked about this when Rask came back. They're lucky that everyone else in the East is just kind of mediocre, because they are a team right now, I think, that would be vulnerable, to falling out if the race was closer. I still don't see anyone touching them for that second wildcard spot in the East. Do you?
No, I don't. I think they're pretty safely in it, but they need pieces if they're going to contend. I think they're still, they just miss David Krejci so much. That's a storyline even coming out of the Olympics. Would he consider coming back for a run with them? But at this stage of the game, when you've been out for a little while, how do you factor in as well? And they're going to be looking to make moves. They need help, I think, down the middle. Defensively, they could add a piece as well, but Boston's just not quite there for me.